What a, so many. Thank you.
Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
All right, it's good to be with all of you on this absolutely beautiful day with the sun coursing through the windows. We're going to see the sun setting, but in a sense, we're seeing a sunrise this afternoon as Nathan becomes an adult within the Jewish community. And we are so unbelievably celebratory and excited for you, Nathan, and for your dear family, because you're a gentleman. And it is a joy to celebrate these moments with you. For those of you who are in the congregation, we have a prayer book that may be in front of you. If it is not, you can find additional ones at the back left or your back right of the sanctuary. The prayer book goes from right to left, and the Hebrew goes from right to left. And we invite you to sing along if you know the melodies, and to read along with us in our prayer service. So we're going to begin our service now. We're going to begin with the singing of Ma Tovu on page 74. That's page 74 in your prayer books. There you'll find a prayer that reminds us that sometimes when we cast our eyes upon the tents, which means our communities, we can say how beautiful and how good are those tents, and truly how good are these moments as well. Ma Tovu, page 74.
Ma Tovu. Ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu, ma tovu, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. ואני ברוב חסדך אבוא ביתך אשתך ואל היכל קודשך ביראתך מה טובו מה טובו אוהלך יעקב משכנותיך ישראל אדוני אהבתי מעון ביתך ומקום משכן כבודך משכן כבודך ואני אשתחווה ואכרע אברך לפני אדוני עושי מה טובו מה טובו מה טובו אוהלך יעקב משכנותיך ישראל. ואני תפילתי לך, אדוני את רצון, אלוהים ברוב חסדך, אלוהים ברוב חסדך, ענני באמת אישך. מה טובו, מה טובו, אוהליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל.
Moments ago, an ancient and beautiful tradition took place where Nathan had the talit of tradition placed lovingly on his shoulders for the very first time by his parents. And it's a reminder of the values that have been so lovingly passed from generation to generation, carried on the shoulders of your ancestors, Nathan, up to this very moment where you now place them on your shoulders. And in our Siddur, on page 88, there's a text that reminds us that when we fulfill certain obligations, that there not only is reward in that it brings sustenance and goodness to others, but there's an intrinsic goodness to them that is in itself rewarding. And now it's a joy to call Nathan forward as he is going to lead us in this reading.
These are the things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains in the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study, morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people. But the study of Torah encompasses them all.
Because it leads to them all. We are now going to turn in our Siddur to page 220, and there we find the prayer Ashrei, of which we are going to be led by Nathan. We'll read responsively in just one moment.
Ashrei yoshvei veitecha, od yahalelucha sela. Ashrei ha'am shekahalo, Ashrei ha'am she'adonai Elohav. Happy are those who dwell in your house, they forever praise you. Happy the people who have it so, happy the people whose God is Adonai. David's song of praise, I will extol you, my God and sovereign, and bless your name forever and ever.
Every day will I bless you and praise your name forever and ever.
Great is Adonai and much acclaimed. God's greatness cannot be fathomed.
Please join me in reading responsively. One generation shall laud your works to another and declare your mighty acts.
The glorious majesty of your splendor and your wondrous acts will I recite.
They shall talk of the might of your awesome deeds, and I will recount your greatness.
They shall celebrate your abundant goodness and sing joyously of your beneficence.
Adonai is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and abounding in kindness.
Adonai is good to all, and God's mercy is upon all God's works.
All your works shall praise you, Adonai, and your faithful ones shall bless you.
They shall talk of the majesty of your sovereignty and speak of your might.
To make God's mighty acts known among mortals and the majestic glory of your sovereignty.
Your sovereignty is eternal, your dominion is for all generations.
Adonai supports all who stumble and makes all who are bent stand straight.
The eyes of all look to you expectantly, and you give them their food when it's due.
You give it open-handedly, feeding every creature to its heart's content.
Adonai is beneficent in all ways and faithful in all works.
Adonai is near to all who call upon God with sincerity.
Adonai fulfills the wishes of those who fear God. Adonai hears their cry and delivers them.
Adonai watches over all who love God, but all the wicked God will destroy.
My mouth shall utter the praise of Adonai, and all creatures shall bless God's holy name forever and ever.
We will bless you, God, now and always. Hallelujah.
We are going to turn now to page 224 for the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yikadav yikada shemei rabba.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach yirute, be'amlich malchute, be'chayechon uvyomechon, uchayedecho beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uvizman kariv, ve'imeru, amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach, Leolam Olam Me'amaya, Yiparach, Yiparach, V'yishtabach, V'yipar, V'yitranam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shemed Kudisha, B'rechu, Le'ela Min Kol Berchata V'shirata, Tushbechata V'nechemata, Da'amiran Be'alma, Ve'imeru, Amen.
We read responsively now at the top of page 225.
There are times when the love of God burns so powerfully within your heart that the words of prayer seem to rush forth, quickly and without deliberation. At such times
it is not you yourself who speak, rather it is through you that the words are spoken.
We turn now to the tefillah, which can be found on page 226, and we invite you to rise now as one community.
Adonai Sifatayv Tiftach Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth shall declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Velohei Avotenu Ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak Velohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Velohei Rachel Velohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Anara El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol V'Zoher Chastevot V'Imahot Umevi Ge'ula Le'ivnei V'neihem Lema'an Shemo Ve'ahava Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei Kol Atah Rav Lechoshia Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Umkayei Emunato Lishenei Afar Micha Mocha Ba'al Gevurot Umidom Melach Melech Mimid Umchayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman Atah L'chachayot HaKol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayei HaKol.
We continue reading responsively on page 231.
Your might, O God, is everlasting. Help us to use our strength for good and not evil.
You are the source of life and blessing. Help us to choose life for ourselves and our children.
You are the support of the fallen. Help us to lift up the fallen.
You are the author of freedom. Help us to free the captive.
You are a hope in death as in life. Help us to keep faith with those who sleep in the dust.
Your might, O God, is everlasting. Help us to use our strength for good.
For blessing and not for curse, for life and not death, for abundance, not want.
Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei HaKol.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני אדוננו, מה אדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם. אלוהיך ציון לדור ודור, Hallelujah. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
You may be seated. We continue now on page 235. At the bottom of the page, reading responsively. That's page 235. For the good in us which calls us to a better life, we give thanks.
For the strength to improve the world with our hearts and hands, we give praise.
For the peace in us which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful.
For the gift of Shabbat which renews us for life, we offer blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
We continue now on page 236.
Retzei Adonai Eloheinu be'amcha Yisrael u'tefilatam be'ahava tekabel ותהי לרצון תמיד עבודת ישראל עמך אל קרוב לכל קורב פני אל עבדיך וחוננו שפוך רוחך עלינו ותחזינה עינינו בשובך לציון ברחמים. ברוך אתה אדוני המחזיר שכינתו לציון.
On page 239, we find the Hoda'ah prayer. It's a blessing or prayer that reminds us to be grateful for all the gifts that come our way. And on an evening such as this, we might feel grateful for the gift of a beautiful blue sky. And on an evening such as this, we may feel grateful for the gift that we can gather together as friends and community to be able to celebrate something so beautiful. And on an evening such as this, we might feel grateful for a young man taking his place as an adult within the Jewish community. If you have reason to feel grateful this evening, I invite you to read responsively with me on page 239. For the gift of our souls, for the promise of our lives, for all we are and all we might yet become, for the creative seeds sown within our minds, whose nurturing can yield a grand harvest, for all these gifts we thank you, O God, and pray that we prove ourselves worthy. We read together. May our lives be ripe with the fruit of compassion, sweetly sustaining those in need. May we use our gifts wisely and with love, true messengers of blessing to the world. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ucha na'eh lehodot. We continue now with the prayer for peace on page 240.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
With the words of this beautiful prayer for peace still echoing in our hearts and minds, we take this time for silent meditation.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. ואמרו Amen.
Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
We are now going to turn in our prayer books to page 244, where we begin our Torah service, that Seder Kriyat HaTorah. And Nathan knows that the centerpiece of our Shabbat service is taking the Torah scroll from the ark and carrying it, as he will do, around the congregation to show that the Torah and all of its values and ideals, it really is for everyone. It's not something that we keep up here just for the officiants behind closed doors, but it is for all of us. And Nathan is actually, in a moment, going to carry the Torah around in a figure 8 sort of pattern on its side. And an 8 on its side is also the infinity symbol. It's a sign that when we pass these values from generation to generation, that we can truly live up to the idea Ledor Vador, passing the ideas and the ideals and the goodness that is inherent within each of the generations to the generations to come. And it's meaningful that we are going to be calling forward members of Nathan's dear family who are going to ascend to the Bima, both to open up the ark as well as to pass this Torah from generation to generation. So it's a joy to call upon dear grandparents, to call upon Arnold and Shelley Swick to come forward, and David and Nina to stand next to your children and in between the generation of the grandparents as well. And also to call upon Melissa Zinzi and Gabriel Zinzi, who have the honor of opening up our ark doors. Once again, we are turning to page 244 as we rise together for Seder Kriyat HaTorah. Please rise.
Ein kamocha va'Elohim Adonai ve'ein kema'asecha malchutecha malchut kol olamim umemshaltecha bechol dor v'ador Adonai melech Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, udevar Adonai mirushalayim. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'amo Yisrael bikedushato.
Zot HaTorah, Nathan, as you well know, this is the Torah. And found within it are the ideals and values that have been passed from generation to generation in your family. Ideals of generosity of spirit, of being strong and yet filled with kindness. It is a joy to pass this Torah from the generation of your grandparents to the generation of your parents. And now Nathan is being placed on your shoulders, which remain with great strength and with great goodness. We turn now and face the congregation as we recite the watchword of our faith, the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Gadol Shemo. Gadlul Adonai iti, uneromema Shemo yachdav. Lecha Adonai hagedula, v'hagevura, v'hatiferet, v'hanetzach, v'hachod. Kicho bashamayim uvaretz, Kicho bashamayim uvaretz. Lecha Adonai hamamlacha, v'hamitnaseh lechol rosh. Lo yisagoy el goy cherev, Lo yilmedu od milchama, Lo yisagoy el goy cherev, Lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisagoy el goy cherev, Lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisagoy el goy cherev, Lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisagoy el goy cherev, Lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisagoy el goy cherev, Lo ילמדו עוד מלחמה. לא יישא גוי אל גוי חרב, לא ילמדו עוד מלחמה. לא יישא גוי אל גוי חרב, לא ילמדו עוד מלחמה. הבאנו שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום, שלום, שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום עליכם, הבאנו שלום, שלום, שלום עליכם.
You may be seated. When I was talking to Nathan earlier, he had mentioned that many of his friends this may be your first time being at a ceremony for the celebration of a bar mitzvah and might never have seen the Torah scroll before. So we thought maybe it would be nice for you to come on up with Nathan and have an opportunity to see the Torah that Nathan's going to read from, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. So if Nathan's friends, if you'd like to come up, if you've never seen a Torah scroll before, feel free to come up onto the bima now. For those of you who are in your seats, you can turn in what's called the Hertz Chumash. Wow, that is something when all of those friends are going to fill the entire bima. That's a good sign. It means you're doing something right. So for those of you who are in your seats, this book, the Hertz Chumash, if you look on page 300 and I believe on 313, you're going to find where the Torah reading is. So come on around, guys. This is the Torah scroll. And I want to tell you a little bit about this Torah scroll, because this is a very particularly special Torah scroll. This scroll is about 125 years old, give or take. And it comes from a small community that was in Poland. And it is a beautifully written Torah scroll. Whoever the scribe who wrote this Torah scroll by hand did a truly extraordinary job. And the people that used to gather to meet and to learn from this Torah scroll particularly loved this Torah scroll. They liked to use it for young people when they became bar and bat mitzvah because it's small and it's light and it's easy to carry. But one gentleman particularly loved this Torah scroll that would meet in this community. And when the Germans amassed upon the Polish border, in a period of time in which the Germans were practicing the political ideology of Nazism, when the Nazis were upon the Polish border, the gentleman who loved this Torah scroll hid it away because he had a sense of what might befall the Jewish community and the Polish communities. And sure enough, when the Nazis entered into Poland, which initiated the Second World War, they came to communities like the Jewish community all across Poland and took the Jews there and took them to concentration camps and death camps. The man who hid this Torah scroll away was taken to Auschwitz-Birkenau, which was a notorious death camp. And this man was able, even though life expectancy there was a matter of days, this man was able to survive there throughout all of the horrors of that time period. And when the camp was finally liberated, he returned to that village, that town where this Torah scroll was hidden away, and he uncovered it and took it to a tiny remnant of what was that Jewish community that met in Warsaw. And when that community became so small and that there were no young people anymore, they decided to send the Torah scroll to a place in which it would be used. So they had a choice. They could send it to Israel, they could send it to Western Europe, England, Canada, but they chose to send it to the United States. And they chose to send it because they wanted young people to be able to read from it so that they can grow with a sense of hope and spirituality in their lives. And because they realized that there is something about the next generation being able to learn from these values. And that means that when Nathan reads from this Torah scroll, it's not just a reflection of what an extraordinary young man he is and how he's been able to learn from the Torah, but it's a reflection of how every single young person, no matter their religion, their race, their nationality, can be a source of light in a world that is sometimes particularly dark. And so it really is an extraordinary thing to see Nathan read from this Torah scroll. You guys can take a good look at it, And then what we're going to do is we're going to read from it. So if you'd like to now, just if you would return to your seats, you guys are awesome. And what an amazing thing to see all of you up here on the bima. Not only are we going to be chanting from this Torah scroll, but we are going to be calling up members of Nathan's family. And for those of you who are looking, we are going to be reading from page 313, and we're reading from Exodus, from a Torah portion known as Mishpatim, chapter 22, Exodus chapter 22, beginning on verse 17. And it's a joy now to call upon our first Aliyah to Torah, to call upon dear grandparents, Arnold Swick and Shelley Swick, to step forward as they have the honor of being our first Aliyah. Ya'amdu Azriel ben Nisan ve'Rachel Devora HaKohen ve'Rachel Devora bat Shlomo ve'Frida.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach.
Baruch Adonai Barach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher barach banu mikol ha'amim v'noten lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai nosein haTorah.
Amen. Mechashefa lo techayeh. Kol shochev am behema mot yumat. Zoveach la Elohim yochoram. Bilti l'Adonai levado.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu notar emet, v'chayei olam noten b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai nosein haTorah.
Amen.
Thank you.
Aliyah, you can come stand on my left side. And now I have the great joy of calling forward dear uncles Mark and Aaron Swift. Ya'amdu Moshe Shimon ben Azriel v'Rachel Devora v'Ephraim Ruvain ben Azriel v'Rachel Devora.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaBarach.
Baruch Adonai Barach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Barach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. V'ger lo toneh v'lo techalsenu, ki gerim hayitem be'eretz Mitzrayim. Kol almana v'yatom lo te'anun, im one ta'ane ito, ki im tza'ok yitz'ak elai, shamoa ashma tza'akato. V'chara api v'haragti etchem becharev, v'hayu neshechem almanot, uv'neichem yetomim.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. So what we are doing now is we're bringing forward a line change, which is wonderful. That's sort of what we call it in hockey, and I'm assuming in soccer too. As Nathan is going to now be our Baal Koreh, as he's going to be our Torah chanter. And now it's a joy to call upon your dear parents, to call upon David and Nina to step forward, as they have the honor of being our third Aliyah. Ya'amdu David ben Larry v'Carolyn v'Naomi Frida bat Azrael v'Rachel v'Devora.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach.
Baruch Adonai Barach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Im kesef talveh et ami et ani imach lo tehiyeh lo kenoshe lo tisimun alav neshech Im chavo tachbo samadrecha adbo hashemesh tishivenu lo. Ki chesuto levada hisimato leoro bame yishkav v'haya ki yitzak elai v'shamati ki chanunani.
Good job, Nathan. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayolam atah b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Beautiful. Hallelujah. Ya'amod, Ya'amod, Ya'amod ha-bar mitzvah, Ya'amod, Natan Eliezer ben David v'Naomi Frida hanechbad. It is with great joy and great fanfare that I have the privilege and honor of calling forward Nathan Raphael as he becomes a bar mitzvah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Elohim lo tekalel v'nasi v'amcha lo ta'or v'aliyatcha v'dimacha lo te'acher bechor banecha titen li kein ta'aseh l'shorcha l'tzonecha shivat yamim yeh imimo bayom hashmini titno li. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
Yesher koach. And Nathan, you can take a deep breath. You've earned it. You can turn to your left, give your mom and dad a big hug and a kiss. And Ben and Ray, too. They deserve it. You all deserve it. Nathan, seeing you stand up here as a family is absolutely beautiful. It's a wonderful thing. And when we see that there's two eitzim, which basically is a word for trees, which we hold the script of the Torah, right? That holds the parchment. It's a little bit like watching your mom and dad and watching you and your brother and your sister, right? And in a moment, we're going to be lifting this Torah up high. And we have dreams for our children. We want to lift them up in the world. And we also write, words upon their hearts and in their minds when we're teaching them from generation to generation. And watching your parents teach you and your sister and your brother, it's like watching a Torah being created in front of us. You get so much. I'm going to teach you two Yiddish words. You get so much yichus from them, which means that from them, they provide you with such an extraordinary home and a reputation and filled with extraordinary values that they're handing to you. And from you, they get tremendous nachas. Do you know that word, nachas? It's a good word, nachas. It's when a parent looks at their child and they know, wow, what they've been able to accomplish, it fills me with joy, like bursting. That's what nachas is. So when you look at your parents, you get from them yichus, and from you, they get nachas. And it should always be that way. So you have lifted that Torah so beautifully today with the way that you continue to act and behave in the world and the way you carry yourself and all of the wonderful things you've been able to do. So keep on doing it. You are an extraordinary young man. And so because you've lifted this Torah so beautifully through your actions, now we call upon those who are going to physically lift the Torah. So I have the joy of calling forward Alex Klein, who's going to be our Hagba, and Riley Swick, who's going to be our Galila. So if you wouldn't mind stepping forward, and we as a community are going to rise as the Torah is both lifted and bound. Come on over. Use your knees, bend down. Just leverage at the table, lift it up, turn for people to see. Okay? And then back down.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה.
You may be seated, and now Nathan is going to read the English translation of his Torah portion.
If you lend money to my people, to the poor among you, do not act toward them as a creditor. Exact no interest from them. If you take your neighbor's garment in pledge, you must return it before the sun sets. It is the only available clothing. It is what covers the skin. And what else shall your neighbor sleep? Therefore, if that person cries out to me, I will pay heed, for I am compassionate. You shall not revile God, nor put a curse upon a chieftain among your people. You shall not put off the skimming of the first yield of your vats. You shall give me the male firstborn among your children. You shall do the same with your cattle and your flocks. 7 days it shall remain with its mother. On the 8th day you shall give it to me.
We are going to turn now to a second biblical reading that we do on Shabbat, known as the Haftorah. And the Haftorah comes from the section of the Bible known as the prophets. And the prophets weren't simply foretellers predicting some form of future, but they were forthtellers. They used their words to push society into the future. When they saw that there were problems and brokenness in society, they wanted to fix it, and they wanted us to fix it as well. And so Nathan is going to be reading from Jeremiah chapter 34, beginning on verse 8. If you're looking for it in your Hertz Chumash, this book right here, you can follow along on page 323. That's page 323.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratzah v'divrehem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'torah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael amo uv'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek.
Amen.
Hadavar asher haya el Yirmiyahu me'et Adonai acharei kerot hamelech Tzidkiyahu berit ekol ha'am asher berushalayim likro lahem teror lishalach ish et avdo ve'ish et shikhato ha'ivri ve'ha'ivriya chofshim levioti avad bam bihudi achihu ish vayishme'u cho hasarim ve'cho ha'am asher ba'u v'abrit lishalach ish et avdo ve'ish et shivchato chofshim levioti avad bam od vayishme'u vayishalechu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sur kol haolamim tzadik beho hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer ve'oseh hamdaber u'mkayem shekol devarav emet v'tzedek al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al hanvi'im ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh Shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'limnucha lechavod ultifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umvarchim otach yitbarach shimcha v'fi kol chai tamid le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
Yesher Koach, Nathan. You did absolutely spectacularly. You must have had some pretty good teachers along the way. But it is quite wonderful to watch you be able to chant those words, and those are difficult words, not just how to read them, but the content as well. And when we see young people reading and carrying on that tradition, it sort of soothes the heart to see it, and it is really quite extraordinary. So we are going to now call upon your dear brother and sister who have the honor of stepping forward. Ben and Ray, you're going to be opening up our Ark doors as we return the Sefer Torah to the Ark. We invite you to rise now as a community as the Torah is lifted and placed back in the Ark.
Ki lekach tov natati lachem Torati Al ta'azovu Eitz chaim hi Lama chazikim ba V'tomecheha me'ushar Deracheha darchei noam V'chol netivoteha shalom Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chadesh Yameinu Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem.
You may be seated. And now Nathan has prepared these words on the occasion of his becoming a bar mitzvah.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you all so much for being here with my family to celebrate with us today. It means so much to all of us. Today I become a bar mitzvah, where I'm counted as an adult in the Jewish community. As a full member of the community, I'm able to be counted a minyan, a Jewish group gathering for prayer. I am now responsible for keeping the mitzvot and keeping Judaism as a part of my life. Becoming a bar mitzvah means so much to me. It shows everyone that I'm capable of doing hard things, and I'm committed to growing, learning, and being a good person. I know that this day means so much to my family as well. In my family, many of my relatives have taken part in this custom, and now I join them in continuing this tradition from generation to generation. They get to see me grow as a person, and I'm sure they're very proud of me and excited about this day. As Rabbi Noah shared, I'm reading from a Torah that was saved from being destroyed during the Holocaust. This has a special connection to me and my family. My great-grandmother Rachel survived being a prisoner in the concentration camps in the Holocaust. Jewish people were persecuted for practicing their faith. It is a privilege that I am able to freely learn about Judaism and to continue the tradition of becoming a bar mitzvah. Today, I read from the Torah for the first time. This is not an easy thing to do. It takes perseverance and a lot of practice. It is written in Hebrew. There are no vowels, and you have to learn the special melody for each word. My Torah portion is Mishpatim. It comes from the book of Exodus, chapters 21 through 24. This part of the Torah is after the Israelites left slavery in Egypt and after they received the Torah on Mount Sinai. They're just beginning to form a society. One of the things that helps a community function well is rules. In my Torah portion, there are many rules. In fact, Mishpatim means laws. One of these laws talks about not following the majority to do evil. This means I have to have my own beliefs and think for myself. If I know that people are doing bad things, I need to stay away from that and choose my friends and my path carefully. Another important law in my portion talks about caring for others. I remember a time when I stood up to some people who were giving a hard time to someone I was friendly with at school. We have to do the right thing even when it isn't always easy. This commandment is so important that it's mentioned throughout the entire Torah, twice in my Torah portion alone. This means that we have to be kind and caring to everyone, even if we don't know them. We need to take care of the needs of everyone in our community. We have food pantries, we have homeless shelters, and many organizations to help those in need. For my Mitzvah project, I have chosen to collect and donate sports equipment to Cream City Charity. Cream City Charity provides new and gently used sports equipment for underprivileged children and youth groups in the greater Milwaukee area. I really love soccer and have been playing competitive soccer for 5 years now. I also enjoy snowboarding and other sports. Participating in these activities can be very costly, and not everybody is able to enjoy these sports. By supporting this organization, I'm demonstrating my gratitude for the privilege of being able to do things that I love, as well as taking care of the larger community and helping those in need. I'm lucky to be surrounded by wonderful people who have shaped me into the person I am today. Thank you to my aunts, uncles, and cousins and friends who have come from far and near to be with us. I'm grateful that my family was able to come from New York to celebrate with me. It has been such a long time since we have been together, and I'm really happy that you are with us on this special day. Thank you to my Wisconsin grandma and grandpa, and my Uncle Aaron and Uncle Mark for their love and support. Ray, you bring so much laughter to our family. I love playing with you and hanging out with you. You're a great little sister and lots of fun. I'll always try to make sure that you have enough food so that your emotions are well managed and you don't get cranky. Ben, it is always fun to build Legos with you, which you're really good at. I love to be with you on vacations and at camp. I'm lucky to have you as a brother. Dad, from you I've learned all things cars. You can look at any car and know what year it is and the make and model. Tell me all about it. It is so much fun to ski with you. I really love our chats on the chairlifts. I also appreciate you driving me to all of my soccer games that are all over the country. It is fun to explore those cities with you when it's just the two of us. Thank you for being such an awesome dad and for being a great role model for me. Mom, thank you for always being there for me, for helping me with everything from homework to day-to-day challenges and teaching me how to make good choices. Thanks for coordinating all my rides, for making sure I have the right things for all my different activities, and so much more. Thank you for supporting me in everything I do. You work so hard to provide a great life for our family. We are truly fortunate that we get to do so many fun things and travel to really cool places. I'm very lucky to have such an awesome mom. Thank you so much for all your hard work in planning my bar mitzvah and this big celebration. You made this such a special day for me and our family. Thank you to Rabbi Noah, Cantor Perper, Rabbi Poslowski, and Ms. Green for helping me to learn my Hebrew and to help me learn my Torah and Haftarah portions as well as my prayers. Thank you to my Hebrew and Sunday school teachers for teaching me over the years and guiding me in my Jewish education. I want to give an extra special thanks to my Hebrew tutor, Susie. It was so much fun to begin working with you last summer while I was at Camp Interlaken. I look forward to our meetings each week, especially when we could play card games at the end of our lessons. Thank you so much for all your help and guidance with learning all this new Hebrew. Thank you also to the best group of friends a person could possibly have. You guys are amazing and really lucky to have all of you. I can't wait to have fun with you guys at the party tonight. Thank you to everyone for coming and celebrating with us. We are so happy that you were able to make it and take time to join our family on this happy occasion. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Yesher Koach, Nathan. And now it's a joy to call upon David and Nina, who are going to step forward and share words of love for Nathan as well. Nathan, come stand here.
You nailed it.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you. You worked really hard on that, and I don't really like talking in front of people. Just kidding. I've never met a microphone I didn't like. Thank you guys all for coming. We're really grateful that you're here, people who came from near and far. We're so really honored that you came to share this day with us. Nathan, I'm so proud of you. You worked so hard on this, and everybody got to see all of your hard work today. I'm going to start off with just a brief PowerPoint, and then there'll be a quiz afterwards. And Nathan's friends, if you don't get 7 out of the 10 answers right, you actually can't come to the party. So just bear with me. Okay, just kidding. So I do want to take also a second to talk about you a little bit. And Rabbi used a word earlier that I'm not sure everybody here knows, but I really think it applies very closely to you. And he said that you're a mensch. And a mensch is somebody who looks out for and cares for other people. And that's a quality that I truly admire about you, because you are constantly looking out for your family, for your friends, and making sure that they are good. And if they're not, trying to help fix that. And that's something that I truly admire about you. Something else that I think everybody here knows is that you really strive towards perfection in a competitive way. But it's a different kind of competition. It's not a competition just to win the sport. it's a competition to be the best at something. And I really, and I feel everybody got to see that here today. But Nathan also does this elsewhere. Like when it comes to snowboarding, Nathan decided, like, I'm going to get on the boxes, I'm going to get on the rails. And that's what he does and did. And when it comes to soccer, he didn't just want to play on a soccer team. He wanted to play on the MLS next soccer team and got on that soccer team. And I think these are qualities that I truly admire. And when it comes to becoming a bar mitzvah, this was not a straight line, a straight path for Nathan. Because Nathan started Hebrew school, and then COVID happened. And then there was no Hebrew school, so we just went out to Little Switz, and we were 1,069 vertical feet closer to God for a period of time. And then after that, we went to California, came back here, and joined this congregation, and we're super grateful to not only to all the dedication that both rabbis have shared with us here, Rabbi Noah, Rabbi Kozlowski, and of course Cantor Perper, but also a special, really a shout out to Susie, because Susie, in the spirit of perfection and becoming your best self, Nathan at Camp Interlochen actually sought out Susie. Nathan said, hey, I know I'm a little bit early. Usually you start with students later, but I'd love to get started working on my bar mitzvah, learning my Hebrew, working on everything I need to know for this. So he found her and said, hey, Susie, let's do this. And then Susie has become a very dear friend of ours and helped make all of everything you just saw happen. So thank you, Susie. And I also just want to take a second to thank our families, of course, for being here and being supportive through all of this. Benjamin and Ray, thank you guys, because you've been there the whole time supporting your brother and helping out. And I also want to thank Nina for putting all of this together, because this was, you'll see, we're about to have a fantastic celebration shortly after we conclude here. And there is a lot of work put into planning a bar mitzvah, not just the work to be up here and, of course, to read your Torah portion and learn the Hebrew, but there are a lot of decisions that have to be made. There's a lot of really fun things we're about to do. I did none of it, and Nina did all of it. So I'm incredibly grateful, because there are a lot of things you'll see. There's a lot of fun we're about to have, so thank you. I love you, and I love all you guys. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Nina. Thank you, Nathan. Moments like these, on the lips of parents for generations, there's been a blessing that we've recited. So David and Nina, if you would rise, and Nathan, if you would rise with them. You've had a hand in becoming the person you are. And Ben and Ray, if you would rise too. You've helped make your brother who he is today. And grandparents and uncles and aunts, cousins who are here, if you would stand with them. And family, all the family who is here, if you would rise as well. And the friends that we call family, if you would stand as well. Of friends and community, if you would join them, as we are going to turn to the Shechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Blessed are you, eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who has given us life, who has sustained us, and who has brought us to this very special moment today. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated, except for Nathan. Stand up for 1 minute, Nathan. I want you to take a look around, and I want you to look at your friends and your family who are here celebrating with you today. Sometimes we don't always take the time or pause in moments such as these to take it all in. So you can be seated now. And this is a moment that I hope is a spiritual high point in your life, a moment unlike any other. You haven't had any moments like these before, have you? It's pretty unique. And you've earned this moment with hard work, and you'll continue to earn this moment by what you do next, right? It's not so unlike your Torah portion, Mishpatim, which you shared beautiful lessons about. Moses in the prior Torah portion had what we could describe as a mountaintop moment. It was the moment of revelation, giving of the Torah, the giving of the 10 Commandments. In that moment, Moses was perhaps closer than he had ever been to God. He experienced the highest heights, but he couldn't stay on top of the mountain. no matter how much he might have liked to, and neither can we. Moses, upon descending to be with the people, needed to focus on the day-to-day world, the laws, rules, and legislations of life. So Moses left the mountain and rejoined the people, maybe even with a sadness to leave that moment of connection, because he understood a powerful lesson. Holiness can be found in this broken world when we work towards making it a more just and compassionate and divine place. Parshat Mishpatim contains laws that guide our everyday lives, as you described, such as those related to marriage and employment, lost property, and these seemingly mundane details are emphasized in Judaism because it stresses the importance of translating abstract ideas into practical actions. Upholding principles of integrity and ethical practices is a vital part of this process. And the top of the mountain was a symbolic moment of sorts, but the proof was in the practice of the values that needed to be implemented in the real world. And this is also a symbolic moment for you, Nathan. You have shone so brightly during this service, and today we are celebrating you. And as your name suggests, you're a gift, a truly special young man. You're a mensch. We're celebrating your ability to read and chant from the Torah and Haftorah and to share an important lesson with the community. We're also celebrating your leadership in guiding us through prayer and doing an extraordinary mitzvah project, right? Taking those ideas and putting them into practice. In addition to all that, we're celebrating who you are and who you're becoming. We celebrate the values and lessons you're taking away from this moment, and we celebrate the deep friendships that you have, your leadership abilities, your thoughtful and dignified nature. You have wonderful people in your life that are going to help you on your journey, particularly your parents. Your parents, David and Nina, are people who have a tremendous ability to lift up voices. They have a profound concern for the world around them and a commitment to diversity and inclusion. These are values that are integral to our Jewish identities. We are a people of debate, we're a people of ideas, sharing views and giving expression to that which is noble in this world. And not only do your parents do that, they amplify those ideals to the whole world. And you and Ben and Ray are so incredibly fortunate to have them lifting up your voices and teaching you their values. And Ben and Ray are incredibly fortunate to have you in their lives as a big older brother, pointing the way for them, as it will be no time at all that they'll be up here too, becoming a son and daughter of the commandments. You'll just blink and it will happen. So soon you'll leave this sanctuary, this space and time. You'll rightfully party and celebrate, and when the celebration ends, you will carry on the values that you so articulately spoke of today. You'll remember the courage you showed today, the leadership you've shown, the ability to learn a tremendous amount, and you will carry with confidence that knowledge into the space and time of your future. So I have a hope, a prayer, and a challenge for you, Nathan. I hope you take time to appreciate the moment and the people around you who have supported you in reaching this spiritual high point in your life. This is a symbolic moment that celebrates not just your achievements, but also the values and lessons that you're carrying forward from this experience. I pray that you remember the lessons of your Torah portion, which emphasizes the importance of translating our ideals into practice, upholding principles of integrity and ethics. Keep in mind that holiness can be found in this broken world when we work towards making it a more just, compassionate, and vibrant place. And I challenge you to carry with you the courage, the leadership, and knowledge that you've gained from this experience. Remember that you have a responsibility to uphold the values that you've been taught and to work towards making the world a better place through your actions each and every day. For God has brought you to this mountaintop moment, and may God ever keep you in good health, in happiness, and in joy. And let us say, Amen. And now, Nathan, I have the opportunity to say words that are just for you to hear, and then Cantor Perper and I have the opportunity to bless you with a threefold benediction of our people.
Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
God bless you and keep you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha vichuneka.
God's countenance shine upon you and through you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'yasem lecha shalom.
May God always smile upon you, Nathan, and bless you with God's choicest of blessings. The blessing of wholeness, the blessing of shalom, the blessing of peace. And let us say,
Amen.
We are now going to turn to the concluding sections of our service. And once again, it is a joy to call upon Melissa and Gabriel Zinzi to step forward as they have the honor of opening up our ark doors. We are going to turn in our service to page 282. We're turning back to page 282 in the blue Siddur as we rise together as a congregation for Aleinu. Please rise now as we turn to page 282.
Aleinu leshabeach la'adon hakol, latet gedula leotze breshit, shelo asanu kegoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
We remain standing now as we turn to page 294 for Kaddish Yatom for the mourner's Kaddish. And as we do so, we remember dear people who have passed into life eternal. Particularly in our hearts and minds, we are thinking of those who we are marking the period of Shiva. We think of Ben Steinberg, Henya Fetterman, Martin Yanoff, and Marion Newman. In addition to those names, so too do we think of those for whom we mark the period of Shloshim, the 30-day mourning period. We think of Rabbi Bernard Baskin, Bernard Kaufman, Cecina Swernoff Fairbanks. And we also think of dear members of your family, too, Nathan, who have passed into life eternal. But we know that they are still smiling down upon you and your dear family with the same love and affection that they did in life. Remember Rachel Ninkin, Nathan Swig, Evelyn Balling, and Milton Balling. If there are names that should be added to this list or names that should be pronounced differently than I did, or if you're commemorating the yahrzeit of a loved one or in mourning, please do call those names out loud. It's a mitzvah to hear those names out loud as I look in your direction. In addition to the names of our loved ones, so too do we think of all those who died due to war and or terrorism, all those who died in defense of this nation and allied nations' ideals. We think of all those who died due to this terrible virus that has stricken our nation and our globe, as well as the virus of racism and xenophobia. We think of all those who perished in this terrible earthquake that has stricken Turkey and Syria, and we think of all those who perished during the Holocaust. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as we turn to words sanctified by memory, words glorified by hope. The Mourner's Kaddish can be found on page 294, and we read these sacred words together. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shmei rabba, bi'alma divrach hirute v'amlich malchute, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehe shmei rabba mivorach leolam ulamei almaya. Yit barach v'ishtabach v'it pa'ar v'it romam v'it naseh. V'it adar v'it alev v'it alal shmei de kudisha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, amen. You may be seated. So shortly, and in just a moment, you're going to have some candy that's going to be handed out to you, all right? And it's a reflection. You know, in our tradition, we always turn from sadness to light, sadness to joy, or to sweetness. We're taught that those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. So when that candy is handed out to you, I think it's someone's job to do it. Don't eat it. Hold on to it. Because at the end of the service, and we'll let you know when, everyone is going to have the opportunity to shower with a gentle toss in the air these soft candies at Nathan, because he's earned that sweetness through all of the goodness that he's done. And not only that, when he looks out and sees his friends and sees his family and all those who are here to support him, not only is he going to sense that sweetness from the candy, but he's also going to sense it from the love that's reflected in all of your eyes. And so we are going to now turn to some gifts that we're going to bestow upon Nathan before we turn to Havdalah and the opportunity to cast some candy at him as well. So Nathan, if you'd like to come up, I'm going to present you with some gifts on behalf of our community. So the first gift that we're going to give to you is one that you saw earlier. It's your certificate of becoming a bar mitzvah, and it is signed. It's got your Hebrew name on it, and it's signed by the rabbis and the cantor. I hope that it is a reminder of how extraordinary you were on this day. We also have the gift of this book, One People, Many Paths, A History of Jewish Milwaukee by John Gerda. And in it, you'll find the history of Jewish Milwaukee, but it is also something that points to the future. And my guess is that when they write the sequel to this book, that you will be featured somewhere in it. And so we also have the gift of these two vessels. And what's significant about these two vessels is that when you fill them up, in a sense, it fills you up. The first is a Kiddush cup. We hope that is something that you use on special occasions. When we are able to fill that Kiddush cup up, we know that it means that we've done something that is wonderful, or that we're reflecting on something that is wonderful. And so I hope that you use it in all sacred moments. And the other gift of this vessel is a tzedakah box. And this is otherwise known as a pushki, or a box in which people place charitable contributions in. And it's a reminder that when we are giving, that it is in a sense that we're living, that we are being filled up with all of the goodness that of which we give to others as well. So I know that you are going to continue in your journey as a young adult, bringing all of these wonderful values that have been brought forward by your family to you, and that you'll be passing them on from generation to generation. May you use them in good health. We are now going to turn to a concluding ceremony that we do at the end of Shabbat known as Havdalah. It comes from the Hebrew word, in a sense, lehavdil, to separate. As Shabbat comes to an end, we're sorry to see it go. It's a time of peace and a time of reflection. And this moment, too, has been an extraordinary moment, Nathan, for you and for your family and for our community as you've entered into adulthood. But like all good things, that moment has to come to an end. So we ease out the Shabbat by engaging in a ceremony in which we reflect with the light of the Havdalah candle, with the sweetness of the wine and the smell of the spices, to ease this period of time out. And so we're going to invite your family to step forward. If you would come up, David and Nina and Ray and Ben, as we are going to have Nathan lead us in our Havdalah service.
Lai lai la 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 lai 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 la 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 lai lai la 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 lai 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 la la lai lai la la lai 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 la 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 lai 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 la 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 lai lai la 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 lai 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 la la lai lai la la lai Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Borei peri hagafen Borei peri hagafen
Nathan, may the sip of that wine be a reminder that what makes that wine holy is time. When you think about all of the time that you put into becoming a bar mitzvah, the time in order to achieve, this is the moment in which our cups are overflowing with blessings.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Borei minei v'samim Borei minei v'samim
Nathan, may this smell of these spices be a reminder of the sweetness that you bring to every moment with the neshama that you have. You are a mensch, and you are a person of great friendships. We can see by your friends when they were up on this bima. And so may you always bring that sweetness to each and every moment.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Borei meorei ha'esh Borei meorei ha'esh
As we look at the brightness of this candle, what makes the light so bright is the wicks that are intertwined. It's a reminder that we shine brighter together when we're a community, that when we stand side by side, a young B'nai Mitzvah with their friends and family, the light that comes from all of you is something that can point the path to the future.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Hamavdil ben kodesh lechol Hamavdil ben kodesh lechol.
As we separate from the Shabbat, a time of sweetness, a time of joy, a time of learning, and a time of prayer, may we bring those ideals forward into the rest of the week and each of our days. May that light shine brightly. And as we extinguish the candle extinguishing Shabbat, may the celebration continue.
Shavua tov, 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 Shavua tov. A good week, a week of peace. Make gladness reign and joy increase. A good week, a week of peace. Make gladness reign and joy increase. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishmi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Bimhera veyamenu, Yavo eleinu. Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu. הגלעדי.
At this time, I'd like to invite you to rise, and if you remember, you're going to gently lob these candies at Nathan. And wait. After you do, if all of the kids want to gather the candy, you are welcome to do so.
Yeah, watch out.
Simon Tovin, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov. Simon Tovin.
Semen Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Semen Tov, Semen Tov,
Okay, everyone, let's hear yours.
Semen Tov, Mazel Tov, Semen Tov, Yehelanu, 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 oh Lecho Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, oh Lecho Yisrael.
Mazel Tov, everyone.
Congratulations. You did so good. I'm so proud of you. Good job, Nathan. Nathan, yeah.
So good. Try to eat all the candy. This is my new celebrity crush. That was really impressive.
I'm stuck. Oh, I gotta get my card. I'm stuck. I got one. Nathan, I didn't get my card. Nathan! You did so well. Thank you. No!
All right, everyone. So the bus is coming at 6 o'clock. So for those of you, adults in particular, who might not have had an opportunity perhaps to see a Torah scroll before, I'd be happy to teach you about teach a little bit about it. If you'd like to come forward, and I'd be happy to teach you how it's written and what happens with the Torah scroll, okay?
Hi, Jeff. Oh, it's nice to meet you. I was talking to Rabbi Shapiro.
You know about the connection.
That's right. How you doing? You biked here, huh? Good for you. Yeah, we talked to Ron and we mentioned that you were coming. Yeah. I talked to him about